At last, the IORA Cup Series escapes the realm of SuperSpeedway Racing. And tonight, instead of a superspeedway, instead of a mile and a half, instead of an oval, it's going to be something a little bit different. Welcome back to the left turns and right turns alike in Schuyler County, New York. This is Watkins Glen International. The IORA Cup Series continues its sixth season with Race 3 and its first non-superspeedway style event. It is the Upstate Grand Prix, and for the second year in a row, second season in a row as well, we are back in Watkins Glen looking to find who's the king of the twists and turns, the ups and downs, and the hills of this state. New York, one and only time it'll be on the schedule this season, and it comes as one of a very important race. Last season, a little bit later in the championship chase, but tonight, rather early, and maybe the first indication of who will be the most versatile driver in the campaign. Group qualifying for tonight's race, the first group qualifying event of the season. 16 minutes remain on the timing charts, and more than 20 drivers have registered so far, including Alexander Balderas, your defending winner, and Daniel Mosteller, your season opening winner at the Daytona International Speedway. Sean Rowe right now provisionally top of the charts, and before we took a look downstairs, welcome back on FTN. I'll be your host, David Croyt, commentating and producing. It's about time we take a look at what's going on at the circuit. Looking at the number one machine, Elijah Innes, one of the rookies making his way in. New drivers alongside the old. The veterans are going to be mixed up. Newer drivers getting their first chances in this setting. A few drivers who are making long-standing returns. Hector Collazo, the number 41, you might remember him from 2022, the IORA Indycar Series at that time. In its first and only season, he was a driver at Watkins Glen in that very series. However, he has not yet gotten a chance to race at this track in this series with, of course, the brand new rules package we brought forth since Season 4 with this field of drivers, many of which unknown to him at that time. So even for drivers who do have a former affiliation to this league, they might be veterans by classification. There's still a lot to learn, and the entirety of the field has a lot to learn tonight. It's all about adjusting approach. iRacing making some changes to the NASCAR Xfinity car, and as a result, these lap times are significantly slower than what we were turning last year. Matter of fact, I believe the gap is more than 3 seconds per lap for these drivers at their absolute fastest, and as a result, it's going to be a huge difference when it comes to approach, not only in qualifying here with a single laps are king, but additionally when it comes to the long term. 40 laps on the table tonight, very long. It is not, but at the same time, it's ample enough room for drivers to be versatile, take different approaches, try different strategies, and that's going to matter more than anything else as the race progresses. Mosteller right now still second in qualifying, with Sean Rowe finding himself on the pole position. Tentatively anyhow. We'll see whether or not he can retain that numbers. It looks like his quick time is up by more than a tenth over the rest of the field. It'll be Sean Rowe, Daniel Mosteller, and River Page right now, the 1-2-3 combination. How about we take a look on board now with the number 19 and see exactly what's going on. Taking a look live right now with the number 19 of Sean Rowe. Driver telemetry here in practice with 13 minutes and 46 seconds remaining. You see now that Daniel Mosteller has usurped the driver, the 19. So Sean, maybe a little bit of room for him to improve in these coming laps. Grazing the wall ever so slightly, but you can see still going to be on this hot lap attempt. Although he's going to, of course, have to settle as he gets out of the chicanes. The one and only carousel he will not make it to, and Rowe will despawn from the track. Daniel Mosteller in the number 87 tonight, looking very strong, as of course Mosteller was in the thick of the championship hunt in Season 4 when we went to this very circuit, and that's about the time where the championship run for him collapsed last season as well. Watkins Glen, the final nail in the coffin for Demos in Season 5, largely regarding the fact that he couldn't make the event and the points deficit would be far too big to overcome. Daytona. Now, of course, this season, maybe a chance Daniel Mosteller can make that 100% attendance work. It has been working against him for several seasons now, and perhaps the only reason that Demos is not a 4-time champion is the fact that he hasn't made every race in the past 2 seasons. Already 2 championships under his belt and maybe more to come. Daniel Mosteller right now is still going to be with the fastest time as Jim Thurston gets on the track. He's going to put a scorching lap down, his quickest so far, within a tenth and a half of that of our pole sitter in Demos. Looks like he's going to back it down to head to pit road once again. River Page still going to be on an attempt as he makes his way into the carousel here. And many a time, drivers are going to back off of their runs maybe a little bit later than you would expect. Even if a driver makes that mistake early in the run, they don't want to respawn, go down to pit road. Perhaps they want to just get a little bit more practice in before then having to, of course, reset their approach and find a maybe better way to approach the track. Maybe it's just about hitting those marks they've hit before. Consistency remains king, and right now for River Page, he's been consistently in the top 5 of the lap times in this session across the stripe for Page there. That is a 1:13.556. Looks to be his quickest time, but not enough to get into the range of those battling for the pole position, and can end up careening in the inside of the 90-degree opening turn. Aiden Walker right now going to be 5th. He finds himself just a little bit off of River Page, and he was one of the best, not only, of course, at Daytona, but he had his limelight moments in Atlanta. Maybe not the strongest competitor at that track, but he was up inside the top 5 for more than a dozen laps overall, and he's going to shoot right back on the track, and he's going to abort his qualifying run. Walker's in 4th. Now Page down to 5th. Elijah Innes, the rookie, strong so far in his very first IORA Cup Series start. He's in 8th tentatively, and it looks like he might have a chance to keep it up inside the top 10. Last lap for him was a 1:14.326. His fastest time is a 1:13.885, so he is around the range he would be based on practice speeds and qualifying. Very few drivers are within that 1:13 threshold. It looks like on raw pace alone, it would be Elijah, the last of which in the number 1 tonight. So perhaps showing a little bit of that strength early on, he could still maybe improve 1 or 2 positions plausibly anyway. It looks like there's room to believe the number 1 machine has some more tricks up his sleeve in future starts, if, of course, we see more from Elijah in coming weeks. Connor Mirabelli is another driver who is a rookie, not yet on the circuit. We'll focus on him later when we get a look at that number 00. 3 drivers have not yet set a qualifying time. Jason Semedo, Alexander Balderas, and Connor Mirabelli. Well, Alexander Balderas, he didn't set a qualifying time last week in Atlanta. It led him to victory lane, nevertheless, and qualifying has concluded. The 87 of Daniel Mosteller will be awarded the pole position Daytona winner, and he is at the top of the charts once again here at the Glen. So it'll be Daniel Mosteller, Jim Thurston, Sean Rowe, 1, 2, 3. 4th place, another familiar driver. Let's take a run down your starting grid. 22 in total have registered, it looks like, all of which, save for Nathan Palawada, should be able to make it into our starting grid. Palawada finding himself disconnecting very quickly after qualifying has ended. So now, with drivers lining up on the virtual starting grid, you're going to see some of the best in this series getting back to work. There's the iRacing official pace car, and of course now it's about time we see our who's who from Watkins Glen. Last time we went racing at this circuit, well, the best of the best came out again. Thurston, Page, but eventually Sean Conklin was our race winner. In Sean Conklin's lone championship season, he got the job done once more. Your front row now fully assembled, so let's take a look at them first and foremost and run down your starting grid for tonight's event. At the top of the board, it'll be the number 87 of Daniel Mosteller. He'll be finding himself right alongside the number 96 for Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports. It'll be Jim Thurston, 1:13.437, puts him up there in 2nd, and Sean Rowe is in 3rd. Aiden Walker going to be 4th, 1:13.522, and then the 6th position is going to be occupied then and there by River Page. Elijah Innes, they both have the third row locked in. Hector Collazo making his first IORA Cup Series start, his first IORA start in north of 2 years, and Hector's going to return at the right time, 1:13.747, alongside Chase Schaefer, 8th place, 1:13.8. Aaron Schugel and Jacob Wilkerson are the first drivers not able to meet that 1:13 threshold, 1:14.322 for Aaron Schugel and a 3:74 for Jacob Wilkerson. Conclude the top 10. Then you'll have 11th place. Then on back, that's going to be Nathan Palawada. Beaver Serrano is going to be in 12th, and it will be 13th place for Henry Kaloff. P14, then in there are going to be Henry Kaloff and Jacques Carter. Got Will Shack 15th place. Vincent Guecci in 16th, Corey Lyles in 17th, and Xander McKinney 18th on the track. Michael Deitch, the last driver of which to take a qualifying time, 1:16.048 for the 17, and Jason Sametto, one of the first of only 3 not to take a lap in this session. Final row composed of a winner already this season in Alexander Balderas and a rookie on the rise. It's Connor Mirabelli in the 000, 22 drivers and 11 rows make up the starting grid for the Upstate Grand Prix, and it'll be the number 87, the 2-time champion of Daniel Mosteller, alongside your Season 3 champ, Jim Thurston, making up the front row in the Empire States. Now, moments away from getting the green flag here in Schuyler County. Watkins Glen, a circuit we've been to many a time before. Tonight, the weather conditions a little bit different from our last venture over. Let's talk about the climate here, this 2.45-mile track in upstate New York. Air temperature of 84 degrees, very mild for the fans and the grandstands and all throughout the track, but the track temp comes in at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Relative humidity also not going to be too generous necessarily. It's going to come in at 39%. Tires will be scorching, and not only because of that humidity, but the temperature straight up is scorching in the triple digits. So, as a result, we're going to make our move now as we're coming out of the carousel, meeting our drivers in the final 2 turns. Vincent Guecci going to opt to take an end-of-line penalty, voluntarily anyway, and so he's going to drop to the tail end to decide not to get himself involved in what's going on at the front of the field. Also comes, of course, as a result of a penalty from Atlanta. Multiple penalties issued for Guecci, one of which standing for this race. Now we find out what Daniel Mosteller can do once again on the front row. He's been here before, however, he's not yet gotten the checkered flag, and his most important battle at the Glen, it came as a loss. Can he get redemption now in Season 6 to open up the campaign as a 2-time winner? That remains to be seen. Barney the Flagman waves the green, and the 87 of Mosteller brings us down into the 90. We are underway once again from Watkins Glen. Ending lap 1, Daniel Mosteller holds full control over the rest of the field. You saw the incident in the back at the tail end. Company like Henry Kaloff have gotten straight once again. Minor damage for drivers such as Corey Lyles in the number 56. You'll see Lyles here still going to be with the field. Now the pack spread out by greater than 15 seconds at the line. And we'll look back up to the front runners here as the battle persists at the head of the field. Mosteller right now going to be leading by some quarter of a second as they enter the bus stop once more. And looks like so far leaders have not come undone, and you could see maybe a little bit of bobble there from the 87, but very comfortable as he makes his way out of that minor chicane and moving on to the carousel once again. It's going to be all about eating up those curbs and attacking the corners tonight. Not only is that going to be the precedent for Watkins Glen, but it will be the precedent for the entire season of road course racing when we, of course, approach our next venue with left and right turns. The Xfinity cars have the, of course, benefit of being stock cars. They are not going to be open fendered. The open wheel form of racing doesn't necessarily benefit from attacking profile elevation changes of that degree. If you do it right, you will not be sent overboard by these cars for simply making one mistake. At the end of the field, you might have seen one driver slowing down big time. That was a slowdown penalty, and it looks like that was Hector Collazo here, who now finds himself running in 11th as a result of that penalty and dropping way back. He's got Xander McKinney coming up next. And let's see what Xander can do here. He's in 13th, although Vincent Guecci just got by. Vinny is making some moves after starting this race at the tail end of the pack. He took that end-of-line penalty, and now looks like he's been able to ascend up to 14th from 17th on the board at its lowest, and 16th to begin this race. Vinny right now looking to have his sights set on Michael Deitch. This is the battle now for the 13th position. Deitch just ahead in the number 17. 3 laps in out of 40 so far. Gaps between drivers is going to be marginal, as most are going to give each other the respect necessary to battle throughout the entire race, not focusing on the now, rather prioritizing what's due to come. Xander McKinney already signaling that he's coming down a pit road. He gave the signal 3 times through text chat. It looks like it's rather intentional here. Let's see if the 40 makes that move down and in, as we might see our first green flag pit stop, perhaps not for an incident, but that could have been one. Alexander Balderas going to push hard with the 40 and nearly move him out the way by force, but nevertheless, Xander McKinney comes to pit road, gets out of everyone's way, and there will be very little that comes of it for the number 40. After only 3 laps on this set of tire and minimal damage, Xander McKinney making the call to go in, and it looks like there's something perhaps outside the sim calling his attention. Nevertheless, top 2 drivers, Mosteller and Thurston, have gotten away. You've got River Page right now running in 3rd. He's in his own world here. He is far ahead from the likes of Sean Rowe and then on back. Then from there, you've got drivers like Jim Thurston, Daniel Mosteller, who are ahead of him, and maybe even some lappers in the coming laps that could play their hand into this battle. 20 drivers, mind you, took to the green flag tonight. The only others that did not, Jason Semedo, Connor Mirabelli, both of which did not see the green flag to begin tonight's racing. Right now, it looks like Daniel Mosteller is holding himself very well at the head of the field, and it looks like this battle has remained as calm as it gets. It looks like, if we're talking about observations, Nathan Palawada did make the start, and his last second disconnection in qualifying, well, it's gotten him all the way back up into the middle of the field. Nathan right now running 14th, but with a move to the inside on the 17 of Michael Deitch, he's looking to change that. Going for the Baker's dozen number, with Alexander Balderas perhaps providing a little bit of reinforcement. The 17 of Deitch has pressure again, and as he did with Vincent Guecci, now he's going to have to face the storm as the 78 looks under. Now it's going to be Alexander Balderas' contact with the 17 and almost setting him down into the grassier portion of the S's. Deitch is going to recover stronger and get out of the 95's way and move ahead. Here comes Balderas now into the bus stop. Opportunity maybe to lay the chrome horn. With only 5 laps, that's very unlikely. And it looks like Alexander Balderas will let Deitch go through smoothly. Take a look on board now with the 95. Let's watch his approach through the coming corner. Deitch to the outside, paved now after our 2021 update in iRacing. It's going to give him all the room he needs, but only for a brief moment. Now the 95 gets away. That will move Balderas up into the 14th position, and at the line, the 95 gets the better of Deitch. Michael Deitch, New York native here. He is coming to his home race, and one of very few drivers in the Northeast Deitch, Vincent Guecci, New York and New Jersey natives respectively, come into the circuit. And tonight, Michael Deitch with the IndyCar Chevrolet machine, this time not its traditional blue, but almost a maroon shade. And you saw him there go wide. And we talk about the pavement. It's not something that's been in this track forever. It hasn't been on iRacing forever. In 2021, one of the biggest track updates in this platform's history descended upon Schuyler County, and it's one of the most accurate recreations of all these circuits in all of simulation racing as a whole. Not only discussing the incredible metrics of the laser scan technology using LiDAR for iRacing's track scans, which are accurate to the hundredths of the inches that these drivers race on, but additionally the peripherals, the surroundings, the curbs, they're as modern as they come with the same yellow and red checkered patterning. Now the extended tarmac out of the Jackie Stewart grandstands and into the front straightaway once again. That's also been put into this circuit. And of course, we have to discuss the entire fan atmosphere, which has been heavily revamped. You'll see drivers passing by the fans all throughout the track, alongside newer pavement, which has been brought through. It's overall a better looking experience, a better driving experience. And for drivers who push a little bit further, like Deitch does right here out of turn 1, now you will be forgiven. That's not something that was possible before, and now, thanks to those relaxed track restrictions, not only in the real world, but virtually, you'll see a little bit more of that aggression all throughout the race. Even if it doesn't mean irresponsible racing, it's going to bunch these guys up. As you see now, we're looking at a Chase Schaefer, Sean Rowe, and a little bit of Aiden Walker too. Now the field's really getting bundled together here as we're going 7 laps in out of 40. The inside, there's Chase Schaefer, and he's got himself low now on Sean Rowe, 2 by 2. They won't be just yet, but Aiden Walker might have a chance to stick his head in the battle as the 19's got the advantageous line coming under the Go Bowling Bridge. Once again, best seat in the house right now is Aiden Walker's. He's in the 93, and he's the onlooker for this battle, but it looks like Chase Schaefer's got the best position of it. Maybe a chance to dive into turn 1 better, though, for Rowe. He has the apex of the corner, and it looks like now he's got a real good shot to come right out of it. There goes Schaefer, moving up high, and he'll get it right past Sean Rowe. So it's going to be now Chase Schaefer running up inside of the top 4, and it's going to be Aiden Walker 5th. Sean Rowe falling now outside of the top 5 for the first time today. Not the best of news for Sean, who started the race in 3rd, so he's down 3 spots overall. However, a very competitive field, and you could say perhaps Sean Rowe right now saving up his stuff rather than being all too aggressive about making passes up actively over the first portion of this race. We have 40 laps on the table. We're expecting pit road to be driven to at least once for drivers today, some of which might decide to go in twice. Fuel mileage, though, is going to be risky because a one-stopper is almost impossible based on our limitations. 80% fuel limit, which means drivers do not have the fuel cell on their display. Rather, they are only going to be working with 80% of which, all the way there at the tail end, you saw the number 31. It looks like he was going to nearly spun out. That's Will Shack, who's 1 lap down as it stands and smacking the outside wall in the final corner, and he's going to go very wide into 90 here. Will Shack having some big trouble, and as such, he's going to get away from the leaders, let Wilkerson go by, let Collazo go by. Now he's going to fall back that much more. It's only Will Shack and Xander McKinney who are 1 lap down, and both of which have gone down to pit road today. McKinney went in very early, and it looks like maybe he's trying to do a back-ended strategy that's going to see him loose on the back end. Not the best for the number 40, but nevertheless, he went in for strategy. It looks like Will Shack might have as well, both of which have gotten back on the track, and they're running penultimate and the final positions respectively. Up in the front of the field, half a second between Mosteller and Thurston. The closest battle now going to be Hector Collazo and Jacob Wilkerson alike. A little bit of that rookie in Elijah Innes, who so far has been the rookie of the day, running in 8th, and Hector Collazo, who is an IORA Cup Series rookie in his own right, well, he finds himself up in 10th. Both drivers are doing a fantastic job here, and a little bit of that new blood in the Cup Series, giving us something to be excited for. Coming off of the final corner again, Aaron Schugel leads this fight, and Aaron finds himself 7th, running very comfortably, and really a quiet race for him, which is going to be something that works wonders. The championship race getting off in a little bit of a squirrely fashion. You cannot predict the results at Daytona. You cannot predict the results at a track like Atlanta either, especially anymore. And so for Aaron Schugel, he's going to need to make some big gains here to really put himself up for the championship fight. He is 8th in the standings right now with 69 points. A nice start, but he could, of course, get a little bit better here. He's 19 back on your championship leader in Jacob Wilkerson. And right now, yes, he is ahead of Wilkerson by 2 positions. So for Wilkerson, who was battling first and foremost Jim Thurston in second and Daniel Mosteller in third, not a good day for him. And it looks like these two were up in front, first and second. They are clearly going to jump up at least 1 position on the ladder if they stay exactly where they are tonight. A victory for Daniel Mosteller will send him up to the top of the championship standings, and a victory for Thurston will send himself up just the same. So this is what it comes down to very early in the championship, looking to get few extra bonus points in. And you can see now that number 96 purple shining right through the first corner. See now, another thing that iRacing has changed, these paint schemes a little bit different the way they show up on these broadcasts. The metallic reflection, and it's as beautiful as they come, and that gives that extra spark to a lot of these drivers. And for Thurston, definitely giving him some better looks here as he's got one driver he might be looking behind at, but not necessarily with worry. It's the Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsport 24 of River Page, who right now runs 3rd overall in this race and 11th in the championship. Not the best start for your defending champ. River right now, well, he's looking for a rebound race, and a podium like this, it could have the potential to put him up top 5 in the title battle. Drivers like Michael Deitch, Nathan Palawada, Henry Kaloff, sort of the underdogs of this field, who are veterans, yes, but not consistently victory threats to this point. Well, they're up higher in the championship. For Page, I'm sure now he expects to be up there with Thurston and Mosteller, company that he's been battling with for championships for several years now. And across the stripe again, River's going to be 2 seconds off your leader in Demos. It looks like that's the way things stay. And as the battle still to end the top 10 is closer than ever. Hector Collazo here coming up on Jacob Wilkerson. Wilkerson getting a little bit squirrely off corner exit, but not by an error necessarily, but maybe trying to find some room as he's getting up closer and closer to Aaron Schugel, and Aaron might have to look back sometime soon. Take a look back now with the number 91 machine, and you'll see what's going on as definitely Jacob Wilkerson is getting closer. Wilkerson through the corner is going to be a little bit more aggressive, particularly off of exit. You saw him there through the bus stop making some minor gains here, and it looks like for Wilkerson down to the apron through the carousel and definitely looking to claw at Schugel as we come across the line yet again. We'll see what that official deficit is. Last time by at the line, Aaron Schugel was, of course, ahead of that number 43. But by how much? Well, the difference, it's minimal, 0.4 of a second. And as we now come across the stripe once more, let's see if there's any difference in that. Schugel's going to go high, and Jacob Wilkerson definitely going to use the lower portion of the track, especially now working off the banking. To his credit, that's going to give him about 1/10 of a second, but it also gives Aaron Schugel 4/10 still of buffer. So no major changes there, and more or less these two drivers running identical times now. And there's Hector Collazo, who might have fallen back just a bit, waiting for a mistake. That's the way things go. Now that we're getting a little bit longer into this run, pit road is going to be occupied for the first time by a driver on strategy. Corey Lyles coming in 13 laps into this race. It looks like now the strategy is 2 stops. That's going to be almost definitive for drivers today. So 14 laps per stint would be 100% good to go, so it will only be a 2-stopper here. You would have to go 14 laps on this stint, which it looks like the majority of the field will make with ease. Then you'd have to go 14 additional laps to go until lap number 28, and from there you can have about a 12-lap stint to end the day, which means drivers will be comfortably making it to the checkered flag if they go for that 2-stop approach. 1-stopper would be preferable, although I do not believe it's going to be realistic for many drivers, some of which you might have saved just just right, have an opportunity to possibly go for it. Right now, lap times are getting slower. If you want to take a look at last lap speed, well, here's a look. Last lap, your leader, Daniel Mosteller, took a 1:14.742. Fastest lap overall on the track so far, 1:13.399. So definitely more than a second a lap off of where he was beforehand. How much of that is tire wear? How much of that is saving? That's up to the driver to determine here, but you would think if they're going to go a little bit longer than 14 laps, they're definitely preparing themselves to get to that point coming very soon where pit road will be necessary here, and we'll keep a track of who goes down to pit road. And right now on the left side of your screen you can see who has and who has not. Right now only 3 drivers at the head of the field have, and of course we saw Corey Lyles just making his way down and in. So with that being said, the number 56 will be next up on the order to be officially qualified as a driver who went down to pit road. Aaron Schugel, additionally, in the number 91, we saw him there as well. Coming across the line for Daniel Mosteller, leading now by a total of 0.7 of a second relative to Jim Thurston. Take a look further back here. It looks like Aiden Walker once again right up with Chase Schaefer. Perhaps now Walker has a chance to get up to 99 for a pass. Aiden Walker right now, Chase Schaefer, the closest bundle on the circuit, still waiting for their chance to head down into pit road. The 93 of Walker right now doing a real good job staying on the back end of Schaefer. 2 drivers who are definitely looking to be on the up and up for this campaign. Chase Schaefer was promising in Atlanta, but promises were broken. And unfortunately for his race, although he was fast and was able to lead some laps, wasn't quite the driver to get it done at the end of the day. He was able to get to the end of the race, yes, and it was a major incident where he salvaged a few positions, but he's now 10th in the championship standings with 60 points, sitting 28 behind your leader right now in Wilkerson. So there's a lot of gains to be made for the driver of that number 99. For reference, Alexander Balderas, after one race, was able to score 48 points. So he's still within a race overall in the championship. Not to say it's out of the question for this Monster Designs team after only 2 races, and of course they weren't terrible races either. It just comes down to how consistent he can be. Yellow flag and a fly now, 17 laps in. The reason at hand, looks like Hector Collazo comes in with some damage, and we might have had some trouble on the circuit here. Yellow flag is going to fly. Here's an instant replay. Let's figure out what caused it. And right now, as we take a look back at what's going on for these drivers, instant replay is going to show you, well, Hector Collazo might have had some contact with Jacob Wilkerson, and we'll see whether or not this is the reason for the incident, of course, causing a yellow flag. Wilkerson coming in with the number 41 of Collazo, and it looks like hooking him up the track and shooting him inside the turn 1 barrier, and that's one incident. However, it looks like on the rest of the field, nothing else came on the circuit. Collazo gonna blow his motor, however, and the yellow flag is out subsequently. So now drivers gonna back down their pace, and we're gonna see pit road coming in for the very first time under yellow. Maybe some drivers going to do 2 stops under this caution period. That would not be unlikely. And so as we bring the feed back live, let's take a look at exactly what's going on. This is a pivotal moment in this race, and it determines most everything of what's going to happen up next. Entry and exit both look to be rather empty, and there's Daniel Mosteller going right to the outside of pit exit and making it through the 90 to get together with the iRacing pace car once again. You might remember we were in a 40-lap race at Watkins Glen very recently. It was the NASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series. I, alongside Daniel Falkingham, commentated that event, and one notable thing about that race is it went caution-free. But that's not to say incidents didn't occur, just to say that they were small enough to keep the track out of major issue. Now, there were 30-plus drivers that registered for that race. Brian Mercurio led every one of which, and his strategy was pretty simple because he had no fuel limit. He went in one time and went the rest of the way without concern. So, we might see Mosteller a chance for him to go all the way and lead every single lap. That's not to say it's out of the question now, but bunching up the field, a good time to experiment. If you want to go for maybe 2 tires, maybe not the time, perhaps the next stint, but right now, if a driver really wants to do something different, that they can to get the race lead and perhaps retain it in the coming laps. John Rowe weaving and bobbing back and forth to the point he almost spins out the car. And it looks like right now, no concern for those old tires, which have gone with them now for some 17 laps. They're going to be disposed of. For most drivers here, all four are going to need a quick checkup, and then they're going to be disposed of entirely, get the data, report it back to the team, and they're going to move on, trying to figure out whether or not the left sides or right sides wear the most at this circuit. Drivers will be reporting those numbers, most likely to each other through text. We'll show you who's burnt out what. Most likely the best drivers at tire saving are those who have the track position. Tonight, it's not always about that raw pace at Watkins Glen, and as it's been before, it's all about managing your Goodyear Eagles. Daniel Mosteller will lead the pack down and into pit road tonight. He's going to come in alongside the rest of the field, save for give or take 4 drivers. Looks like all of which going to be lappers, 3 of which specifically. There is going to be Will Shack making through, Xander McKinney, and the 56 of Corey Lyles. Now taking a look back down into the pit road, there's the exit camera, and it'll show you who makes their way out the quickest of all those on the track. 87 of Daniel Mosteller, 96 of Jim Thurston, prime candidates to keep that race lead. Let's find out what happens now. 4 tires looks to be the standard. No driver going to do something different. Balderas out of the stall first. Mosteller out of pit road first. Then it'll be River Page in second. Chase Schaefer in third. Jim Thurston fourth, and Aiden Walker in fifth. Aaron Schugel then P6 in the rookie, and Elijah Innes coming out in seventh. Demos retains the top spots. So now 2 laps to green here as drivers get back to the bus stop and get ready to go once again. It's going to be some 20 plus laps on this stint. With the way things were going, there's still the big question mark of whether or not this race needs a pit stop any longer. I'm expecting, for drivers who are not the best with tire saving, fuel saving, we will see pit stops in the back half of the field. But maybe now there are drivers evaluating, maybe they can go all the way here without having to worry about one more stop. Take a listen on board of Daniel Mosteller and find out what we hear and what we don't hear inside the cockpit. Keeping it all the way down to the lowest gear possible, Daniel Mosteller not necessarily clutching and coasting, but certainly going to be very delicate now with the motor he's got, not trying to put in any more fuel for any more power than necessary for these pace laps at a speed of some 60 miles an hour. Back to highway speeds before we go racing again at the Glen. Lap 19, we go back at it at our halfway marker, lap 20 of 40. Notable gains now for Chase Schaefer to put himself up on the front row. He'll decide to take it high, and for many drivers, that'll be an unpopular decision at this track. Even though, yes, it is more track position for Schaefer, working that outside groove through the opening corner, the 90 is painful. Many a time we've seen drivers decide to go there. It's not worked out quite well. In the NASCAR Cup Series anyway, you might remember Chase Schaefer and Kyle Larson doing battle, and they ended up making major contact 2022 in that opening corner, which decided the race victory. Now, not to say these drivers will be all over each other door to door, but at the same time for Schaefer, it's still a major advantage to be on the inside in the second row rather than it is to be on the outside in the first row. With that track position, if there is an opportunity, it's better to take it for a driver who needs to keep on making gains. Now through the chicane once more, number 87 to Daniel Mosteller, 99 to Chase Schaefer. Let's talk about that second row for a moment here because they're teammates. Power Smash, Infinity Speed Motorsports, similarly colored, and once again, similar speeds between Jim Thurston and River Page alike. The 96 and 24 respectively having a perfect opportunity now to tag team the field all the way at the front. Only two drivers they'll have to deal with here to get a team 1-2, and further on back, their teammate Nathan Palawada going to run in 11th here. Maybe a chance for him to do some damage in the lower realm of the top 10, but the top of the board dominant now by those Pacism drivers. Top 5, 2 of their drivers there. Then you've got the number 93 of Aiden Walker, who does not have any teammates with him for the time being. However, it will be a team game at the head of the field for the second row. Daniel Mosteller looking to run away alone as he has all race long, and he'll bring the field back to green for our 20 final laps. Second half is due to begin with the number 87 giving us the go. Green flags out for our first restart of the day, and Daniel Mosteller brings us back to the start-finish line to go racing once again. Chase Schaefer, first-time race leader from Watkins Glen. He'll take it through the S's, and the outside groove prevails. Able to make it out of the 90 with ease, and Daniel Mosteller very respectful of that number 99 Mustang, giving him an opportunity to keep himself out of harm's way, and Chase Schaefer ran with it. And he's ran a mile with it so far as the top dog in the field. Everyone getting by the bus stop with little error here. You can see Jacob Wilkerson making his way out in the STP 43. Moreover, Daniel Mosteller now exiting the carousel. He's got himself now about a car length and a half back of the 99 of Schaefer, eyeing that driver and looking to see what's next up as a few drivers in the back of the field squirming for position, however none of which have gone around, and we will remain green, hopefully to finish off the night. 20 laps to go in the IORA Cup Series, and if you're watching live on FTN, there's many a reason to tonight as we have 4 broadcasts on the same day. We kick things off as always with the IORA Cup Series here in Watkins Glen International. Then from there, we're going to be heading to Road to Pro competition in Rockingham, and the HCBB IPU season continues with the Yokohama Bay Stars playing the Brooklyn Bears. Lastly, you'll have, of course, the Highline Racing League, and they're going to go for another exciting day of unique track racing as we have our second memorial race of the season, our second official one at that, the Richard Smith Memorial at 9:30 Eastern. I'll be on the call for that one, and of course, Kenneth Bueno, Daniel Falkingham bringing you all of the action in the Road to Pro Tour, and they'll be finishing the job with 2 more races, one of which has just started, and then we've got our finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway coming very soon. Xfinity action all night long. Right now, IORA Cup Series, and then 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the Highline Racing League, who have brought in their randomized schedule for the very first time in any league's competition that we've seen on this channel. It's something that has not been tried often, and that leaves these drivers who have to continuously study in a league like IORA perhaps a little perplexed. Right now, that's something we have to discuss. The practice hours drivers put in, perhaps for drivers right now like Mosteller, Thurston, Page, and company, who are all the way at the head of the field. Well, they've put in the hours not only in the Xfinity car, not only at Watkins Glen, but in the service. And right now, I think the best indicator of if you'll be successful at a road course is your previous iRacing experience. Numbers don't always mean anything, or rather, they don't mean everything, but they definitely tell a little bit of a story tonight. Let's talk about that story and go a few drivers down the order. First and foremost, you got Chase Schaefer with a 6,000 iRating flat. Then you have Daniel Mosteller, who has a 7,100 iRating. River Page has a 5,700 iRating, and he's approaching 6,000 rapidly. Then you got Jim Thurston, who has himself a 7,300 iRating. Further back in the field, Aiden Walker in 5th. 5,300, the highest seeded iRating drivers in the field, with one exception right now of Jacob Wilkerson, who's in 12th. They are all at the top 5, and they right now are running away with the field. Wilkerson having a little bit of a bobble to kick off this restart, and as such, he's not with the other drivers who are of his caliber, no doubt. But tonight, Chase Schaefer looking to make up for something that he's been perhaps the most consistent at, Atlanta Motor Speedway as a whole. We would say that if there's anyone who's been the king of Atlanta in this series, it's been Chase Schaefer, and especially over the last year, Chase Schaefer with crooked number, he's got himself 2 victories anyway in Atlanta in multiple configurations, be it the 2008 version of the circuit or the SuperSpeedway. The closest finish in IORA history, 2 1,000ths of a second. Schaefer over Mason Moriarty. Chase was the man who won, and now he's got Daniel Mosteller all over him, looking to pounce once again. The 87. Well, he is not done yet. Daniel Mosteller right now going to keep it bumper to bumper, not laying the chrome horn just yet. Both these drivers have been very respectful of one another to this point. 18 laps to go. We're getting that lap 22 point, and we're moving on to the final stretch of this race. And as this battle progresses, we're going to bring it to you with the best cameras on the iRacing platform. TrackCams22.com provides the best iRacing cameras, broadcasters, users who just like to see their replays in a better perspective. Even if, of course, you have no experience with broadcasting, we invite you to the TrackCams family for a chance to check out what's going on with iRacing's leading camera provider. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams for additional information as we now crank it up with 17 laps to go from the Glen. Chase Schaefer continues his lead at the front of the field here. It looks like he's got 4 drivers behind him who have been as diligent as ever and keeping up with your top driver in the field. Schaefer tonight so far has had pretty good control in the second restart exclusively. Daniel Mosteller, of course, the man to lead us to this point. And now it's a head-to-head between the only 2 drivers who have led laps so far. The 99 of Schaefer, the 87 of Mosteller. And now as they do battle once again, it's a little bit more of a calm battle waiting for those final few laps. And this is at times what we expect of road course racing. Setting up for the pass takes a lot longer than going for the pass. You might see drivers get ready for north of 10 laps, which is exactly what we are seeing right now. However, for the time being, it looks like these drivers are still going to stay as patient as they come. The gaps throughout the entirety of the field, you can see they are much larger now. And it looks like overall you got drivers from top to bottom in completely different places relative to where they were before. You got drivers like Will Shack right now who finds himself 2 laps down. Overall, it looks like his race not going the best. He's in 19th as it stands, and positions have shifted big time for a driver like Shack. Then you look on back and you got Sean Rowe, who looks like he is disconnected. He's 5 laps down as it stands. Beaver Serrano 1 down as is, and he's at 18th. It looks like he just got passed by and then proceeded to pass again. Number 17 of Michael Deitch. 13 laps to go here. It's going to be Daniel Mosteller, Chase Schaefer 1-2, River Page is 3rd, and then you got 4th. That's still going to be 96 of Jim Thurston. Thurston has been rather consistent, although he has not found himself as aggressive in making those moves tonight. He's got his teammate right ahead of him, maybe helping him out and clearing some headway, so he doesn't have to worry about being the driver who puts down the force if something happens in between these top 2, which with the distance they're leaving each other, the lack of distance anyway, something could. Well, we might have ourselves a new race leader. Now the 87 machine to Daniel Mosteller dives deep into the penultimate corner, coming through the Jackie Stewart grandstands. It looks like the 87 holds himself up high. Not enough, and to no avail so far. Chase Schaefer remains your race leader, although Mosteller gets a nice run of momentum out of the final corner. And now to the start-finish line, the 87 of Demos is again on the top of the board. However, it's briefly, and it is still not fully clear. Still side by side entering the opening turns. It looks like through the 90, it's still toe-to-toe. Now they're going to head through again. Turns 2 and 3. The S's, the uphill climb where Chase Schaefer was first able to get himself the race lead. 12 laps to go. Now he's fallen back 2 positions. Daniel Mosteller is to the head of the field. And now with 12 laps remaining, back and forth, almost ping-ponging action. Thurston almost gets himself up to the 93 of Walker, and luckily both of which will be able to get away. Now your dominant drivers once again leading. Chase Schaefer has to settle down and get himself back into the 2nd position, but he can't even do that, and he finds himself now falling into 3rd. So 3rd place now for the Monster Designs Ford Mustang. That's going to leave River Page a chance to make it inside the podium. That's going to leave his teammate, the 96, a little bit further back. Chase Schaefer's got himself sandwiched now between 2 drivers who are working with each other. But I think now for River Page, it's not about helping his teammate to make that 1 position up. It's now about whether or not River himself can make it through the 87 of Daniel Mosteller. So far, looks like he hasn't quite gotten there, but this is the best chance he's had all race long to do just that. I'll take a brief ride on board with some driver telemetry here to see exactly what River hopes to do. Between 2nd and 4th gear for the majority of this ride, it looks like shifting gears has been important, but throttle control has been ever so for a driver like River Page. You can see flat footing it and then putting the power back down, out of the carousel, and working the apex of these corners. These final two might look like simple left and right-handed turns, but there's a little bit of a difference in the profile of banking between the high side and low, because of course that bottom groove is where you have drivers making their way down a pit road. It's going to be a little bit flatter, and as a result, you can't necessarily use it to your advantage. Even if you want to as a driver, it's not always the best decision. Now Thurston down to the inside will lay it low on the 99 of Chase Schaefer. Schaefer now in jeopardy of falling out of the podium entirely. The Sism team looking to make it a 2-3 affair. If they can't get up to Daniel Osteller, next best thing is having that podium effectively locked up, which so far they've done a good job of getting close to, but the job is not completely finished, where Daniel Osteller and company might come in and really make that big of a difference. It'll be Demo still leading, River Page in second, Chase Schaefer in third, then you got fourth and fifth there. Hayden Walker and Jim Thurston battling each other for the same racing real estate. Look a little bit further back, and Aaron Schugel right now finds himself running in the 7th spot. Aaron, for the time being, is doing a good job behind the rookie of Elijah Innes. Elijah, again, is running in 6th. And talk about a standout race for a rookie driver. Well, as it stands, he's exactly where he started, and he is continuing on with the same level of performance he's been bringing to us all throughout the night. As low as 10th, really not a lot of fluctuation for the driver, the number 1. He has been excellent in this opening race for his career in this Cup Series, but it looks like he's going to have to give away one spot, or maybe just give away the line. Innes is going to drive right up the track, and as such, it'll be the number 1 of Elijah Innes down to 7th again. Aaron Schugel makes the move into 6th. A quick one, and as a result, the 91 slides and the yellow flag's out for the second time today. It looks like now an incident at the tail end of the field, perhaps. You see there, Wilkerson and company way back, and the caution is out. Jacques Carter in the 006, a little bit of damage on the suspension. It looks like it might be Carter among others involved in this one, which brings us down to a standstill with less than 10 laps to go. Carter wiggling and wobbling back and forth, but it looks like he already had that damage to this point. See him swerving up and down the track, maybe involved in this incident. That remains to be seen. Carter making his way through the bus stop. It looks like getting through the entry well enough, and the exit as well. So the yellow flag is going to fly. Carter looks to get away just fine. There's Michael Deitch, and a look at Corey Lyles. Back of the field, no specific drivers in trouble. Perhaps Xander McKinney there with a little bit of an issue. Alexander Balderas additionally gets away, and no clear telltale signs of who was involved in the caution just yet. All drivers in the field are still going well. From the back of the field on up, we do have now under 20 drivers, and looking at all of them, it looks like everyone gets away. Carter, though, does have the suspension damage and perhaps a risk to leave out on the track alone without getting down a pit road. He's still going here. That being said, caution's out. Will Shack 2 laps down, still remains on the circuit. Sean Rowe is done and done, and Beaver Serrano 1 down. Well, looks like he's still going to progress as well. Nevertheless, yellow flag is out. We were expecting a pit cycle very soon, but before that, a word from our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations, the world's leader in online simulation racing. iRacing.com is the tool we use to bring every race to you live on FTN. There's no replica, there's no substitution, there's nothing better than iRacing Motorsport Simulations. And so as we get an official report on the incident and find out what's going on at pit road, we'll be right back with our final messages of the day, courtesy of our friends at iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
8 laps remaining. Jim Thurston getting on the way down to pit road, and as such, drivers making their move in, shuffling together. Yellow flag out for the second time today. Second and potentially final now as drivers enter pit road and make their move in. 34 laps down to 40. Alexander Balderas, a little bit of that right side damage, but nevertheless looks like he's able to progress as well. And here comes Daniel Mosteller in for the most important pit stop of the day. Does anyone try to get him on the 2-stop strategy, or rather the 2-tire strategy? Well, that's the big question mark. Thurston now at last going to make it into his pit stall, and coming through off of pit road, Mosteller easily wins the race off. Then River Page, Aiden Walker, Chase Schaefer, Aaron Schugel, Jacob Wilkerson, Elijah Innes, and Hector Collazo, with Alexander Balderas and Nathan Palawada concluding the top 10. So as such, very simply put, the 87 is on top yet again. 34 laps in out of 40, and it looks like it's going to take a miracle for the 24. Perhaps he's got the pace now on level tire to make something happen, do something different, and snatch that race lead away from the 87, who has been in total control throughout the night so far. Maybe there's a chance here to make that change, but so far, no signs have shown anyone has what it takes to best the 87 of Mosteller. Coming along, 1 lap to go. We'll have 5 green flag laps left at the very most. Keep in mind, yellow flag from this point onward will take us into green-white checker territory, and that will decide the race with either an extension of the race length or a conclusion with only 2 green flag laps left of our 40 scheduled today. Hopefully we don't get to the point where we have to use a green-white checker tonight. 2 yellow flags on the circuit. Most often we throw at most 2 cautions in a road course race, and both of which coming very far from one another. Not at the immediate start of the race, but not at the conclusion either. So as such, we're coming to the point here where this is it. It's about the final chance you have to really get even with the drivers around you. We're in a good position here. We've made it this far. Now let's find out who's got the stuff to go all the way. 7 laps remaining this time by, and we are making our way now to make it only 6. River Page decides to go high. He will take it up to the top, as did Chase Schaefer. Schaefer was able to have it pay off in the short term, and it looks like now some drivers are following his strategy. And one driver who's going to follow Schaefer's strategy is none other than Chase Schaefer himself. He'll go up top again, try to go for the 4th position. What he's got now in that number 99, deciding to replicate what he got to the lead with before. Maybe he can do it again. He's got a driver not only beside him, but ahead of him to worry about. He's blocked off on almost all angles here, short of going even higher, which is not preferred in the inside groove or the outside alike in turn 1. Chase Schaefer is going to be in a little bit more trouble if he wants to make it back up there. He'll have to think quick. Jacob Wilkerson might be the driver that benefits the most from this most recent caution. Now finding himself back up inside of the top 5. He was as low as 10th coming into the pit cycle, and now he's gained just enough room to be behind Walker, who has been a juggernaut all day long. He's side by side with Aaron Schugel, who is battling several seconds ahead of him in another domain on the field. And the leader finds himself only 2 car lengths ahead. That's, of course, Daniel Mosteller, looking for 2 victories in 3 races. How about a Sean Conklin-esque way to start the season for the 87, looking to harken back to the days of dominance in seasons 1 and 2. Mosteller has not yet been able to unleash that sort of ability, and his 3rd championship, which has been more than 2 years since he's last won it, will be one of the sweetest victories in all of his racing career. But of course, first and foremost, he's got to start the charge tonight. As a defending champion, I'm sure he wants to go and make it another back-to-back championship win for him. It's a 24 River Page. He's not yet really up inside the top 10 or the top 15 or top 5, shall we say, where he would like to be a true championship contender early, to at least fight for that regular season crown. A win tonight would change that and flip the script for the 24's campaign for the rest of the regular season. The iRacing official pace car, let's go for the final time tonight. 5 laps to go with Daniel Mosteller in control. The 87, perfect jump. Car length already going to be gained on the field. 3 wide. Chase Schaefer almost takes it there with Page and Aiden Walker. One's got to give. Chase Schaefer does, and through the opening corner trouble, Elijah Innes, and everyone gets away. The number 1 machine, the rookie, all the way at the tail end of the field with front end damage. Elijah Innes. What a race it was. And it comes crashing down in the final 5 laps. Everyone gets away, save for, it looks like, one driver, and Jacques Carter. Nevertheless, the number 1 down at 18th, the lowest position he's been in all day long, and now he is alone on track, and there's very little else he can do. Take it back up to the front of the field. Quarter of a second separates River Page and Daniel Mosteller. They're the top 2, and already they're beginning to break out here in Watkins Glen again. Looking for the win is those 2 drivers. Big incident again. Alexander Balderas is going to go around out of the carousel. Our second incident this lap. It looks like Carter involved, and we are going to an overtime finish as a result of a second incident. Balderas just not in control through that carousel, and Jacques Carter hitting him. Both drivers slide. The caution's out. We are going to a green-white checkered finish here in Watkins Glen. And the pace car is out yet again here. It looks like we're going to slow it down and get ready for a very short stint to finish this race. Mosteller and Page 1-2. We'll only have 2 laps left when we go back green for the final time tonight. It looks like now it's got to be final. We figured we would get through 5 laps, but it looks like that's no longer the case. Too much trouble on that opening lap and that restart, and now we are due to have our 3rd of the day. Very soon, the field gets bunched up once again. We have a little bit of time before we go racing once more. So with that being said, we're going to take it FTN nonstop until we go green yet again. We'd like to thank some of the partners and associates that bring this racing to you live on FTN. And as we do so, you will not miss a thing. On the left side of your screen will be full, uninterrupted TV coverage. And on the right, we'll have a few promotional ads and a few messages from our friends here on the network that have brought you the content you're watching today. It's the IORA Cup Series and the Upstate New York Grand Prix will return as we go green-white checkered racing from the hills of Schuyler County. Be right back after the following messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
One final lap of pacing and 2 laps ahead. Green flag racing will now come in our overtime format. Race is going to be extended by 1 lap to reflect the changes. As a result, the white flag lap is now lap 41. If we reach the white flag under any circumstances, this race is complete, and we will have to, of course, pack it up on that lap, checkers or wreckers. However, we do have multiple attempts on the table, 3 of which, so if we have a yellow flag before the white flag, this restart, we're going to our second attempt. We have 2 additional attempts, so 2 more cautions being flown, mean the race will be extended for a green-white checkered finish, and we can finish under green. If we have 3 cautions from this point onward, which is especially unlikely, the race will finish under yellow. And that will be it. The race will end, and based on timing and scoring loops provided by iRacing, race results will be calculated and determined before the checkered flag is crossed. 87 to Daniel Mosteller lies low. He's got a different look this season, and looks like bringing some new colors, he's brought the same speed, and similar situation for River Page. He's got himself a much different looking number 24 with very minimal sponsorship, if any, but as clear as day, he's got the Power Smash Infinity Speed and Motorsport backing, both running that metallic style color, almost blue, almost purple, but there's one thing that's been for certain, both of which have been up at the front of the field all season long. And now they're looking to capitalize on those results. Page on the inside and Mosteller on the outside. When we go through turn 1, Demos will have the edge. Two laps remaining, this time by from the Glen. Daniel Mosteller once again, rocket ship off the launch. He's got himself a car length and a half as they're 3 wide into turn 1. Someone's got to give, but it looks like no one does. Henry Kaloff goes wide, as does right ahead of him Aaron Schugel. Hector Collazo gets through, and the field will run away, but one driver gets the biggest run. Schaefer spins. Chase Schaefer into the grass through the S's. Yellow flag is out again. We're going to our second overtime attempt as the 99 barrels through. Take a look back one more time. Chase Schaefer, the 99, he gets decked through the opening corners, and so, well, you see him spinning there. What caused it? That's the question. It started on the exit of the turn 1 you saw here, hectic, and it was a shock that most drivers got through unscathed. Then from there, the number 99 machine, well, you can see him on the low with Hector Collazo. Collazo maybe taps the quarter panel and sends him once, twice, just like that. Chase Schaefer, lucky it wasn't any more damage, but his track position has been eviscerated. There's little else that he can do now but try to drive through in subsequent attempts. Daniel Mosteller not happy with that one being reversed, shall we say, and so we're back into a period of pace laps. Gonna bring us to our second green-white checkered of the day. So, Daniel Mosteller, River Page, and Aiden Walker are 1, 2, 3 as we are getting set to go once again. There's a chance, although it is not likely here, that we do shorten this caution to keep things going a little bit of a quicker rate. Looks like very few drivers, if any, will visit pit road. Perhaps Chase Schaefer will decide to get a new set of Goodyear rubber. Looks like that he has. He's making it back up to the field right now, and so the entire pack is put together yet again. 87 to Daniel Mosteller will lead us through, and this is our second attempt. So now if we have another caution, it will be our final green-white checkered attempt. We can still afford to have an additional yellow flag. However, from that point onward, the race will be over if another caution is thrown. One caution left is fine. Two, not going to work out under green. The race will be concluded, perhaps you can say against the driver's wills, but now we're getting to the point where cautions are becoming a little bit more frequent in the final half of this race. And so, caution out yet again. This will be your fourth restart of the night. And hopefully it is the last. The lead lap right now composed of only 18 drivers. Schaefer going to be the last of which right now, as you see him at the tail end of the field, it's a pile of drivers ahead of him. Elijah Innes involved in the first overtime yellow flag, and then you saw Chase Schaefer right there. We will go one lap to green this time through, and so we're going to get back at it again, and it'll be Daniel Mosteller who finds himself on the inside. Looks like rather comfortable with that position. He'll decide to take it once again, and so it'll be Daniel Mosteller down low, River Page up top, one lap to green, the exact same positions. Both drivers assume. Looks like now they're going to try to keep things predictable, although River Page is going to need a bit of a change if he wants a chance to win and break out with a better restart this time. Notable inclusions to the front four rows. You're going to see Hector Collazo and Aaron Schugel comprise the third row now, and consisting of two drivers who have not been up in the lead battle all day long. Well, they've got themselves the best chance they could possibly have. Attrition has gotten them to this point, avoiding the major incidents, and now 2 laps to go. It's almost like running a qualifying session on iRacing here. Not a lot of time, but the stakes are as high as they can get. And so now, as the field gets ready to roll once more, the official green-white checkered rules mean the race has been extended to lap number 44. We are coming to lap number 43 here. And the white flag lap now is 44. We get to the white flag before the caution is thrown. The race will conclude on that lap, regardless of what happens. Coming out of the carousel, Daniel Mosteller has led the most laps on the day. He's led more than half of this event already, and now he's looking to seal the deal. Can River Page fight back, or can someone else do so? Jim Thurston now finds himself lined up with his Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports teammates. For the first time, these two drivers are linked together, finally, for their sakes anyhow. Let's see whether or not that can make the outside line potent on this opening rundown. This lap means everything. Next lap going to be 10 times harder to make up position, especially if you're fighting for the race lead. Here we go again. Daniel Mosteller down low, River Page right up top, and the high side, the 87 is no longer. He's going to see whether or not River Page can replicate that Chase Schaefer maneuver, but it won't be easy now as Daniel again gets a wonderful start. He's the best of the day. Demos gets the jump into turn 1 as we go for double overtime. River Page through the apron. He'll slide up the track. No chance now for Page. He'll get away and give his teammate the better shot. The 96 of Thurston now is to come through the S's with as much speed as possible. Carrying momentum is all that can bring him back up to the front of the field. Page almost sabotaging both races at once. He thinks better of it, and in a quick instantaneous reaction, impulse decision to go up to the top of the circuit. Here comes Hector Collazo coming for fourth. One's got to give. It'll be Hector once again. It looks like now Collazo's going to tag Walker. Up the track they'll both go. Side by side and still through the carousel. Both get away, but only Justin. Now Collazo is up to third. Hector inside the podium. Hayden Walker now going to be mired back. Here comes Aaron Schubel. Here comes Jacob Wilkerson. And just like that, we're coming to the white flag with Collazo making his way up to third. And at long last, the battle becomes two drivers. Once again, the 96 of Jim Thurston, the 87 of Daniel Mosteller. 50% of this league's championships belong to these two drivers. And Mosteller, already a winner this season, looking for his second tonight. This race is official. 1 lap to go. Thurston now as close as he's been all throughout. Half a second. That's what it comes down to. Through the S's into turn 1, Thurston and Mosteller are alike, nearly perfect, making their way through, building up that speed right now, riding on board with Thurston, a speed of 150 miles an hour, and as they come through what would be the DRS zone, all power down into the bus stop, one final time. Mosteller does have, of course, the track position, no need to lunge. Thurston, on the other hand, on the assault, full on. He'll make about a 10th and a half out of that corner. Now through the carousel. Jim Thurston's got to unleash everything he's got, tap into whatever remains for a chance to fight back against the 87, who's been dominant all throughout the night. Gap remains 4/10 of a second. Coming past the Jackie Stewart grandstands, the 87 leads into our penultimate corner, and the real test is who comes out through the Go Bowling Bridge. Thurston goes way wide, and coming through our final corner, it will not be enough. Under the Go Bowling Bridge, Daniel Mosteller is already a two-time winner in just 3 races. Demos wins from Watkins Glen, redemption from season 4, and the 87 at long last finds success in Schuyler County. "36 of 45 laps led, Daniel Mosteller on top tonight, undisputed from the drop of the green flag to the final wave of the checkered. What a job there for Daniel Mosteller. Take a look through your race results as Demos comes around to celebrate in due time. It'll be the number 87 of Daniel Mosteller, your race winner. Then from there, you got second place in Jim Thurston, Hector Collazo, position number 3. Aiden Walker, 4th, and River Page comes home in 5th. And then from there, you got 6th place. That's going to be Aaron Schugel. 7th is going to be Chase Schaefer, in 8th. Henry Kaloff with P9, Corey Lyle, and Beaver Serrano, a top 10 first on the campaign. First time podium for Hector Collazo as well, and a series of firsts while Daniel Mosteller gets his second victory in 3 races. You got Vincent Guecci 11th and Alexander Valderas in 12th, with Elijah Innes in 13th, Nathan Palawada 14th, and Will Shack 15th, Xander McKinney 15th, and Michael Deitch 17th. It'll be Jock Carter in 18th and Jacob Wilkerson 19th. With 20th position, Sean Rowe, Jason Semedo, and Connor Mirabelli registered, did not qualify, did not race. And as such, 20 drivers took to the track tonight, and Daniel Mosteller again finds himself victorious. However, it's been a long time since he's got it done on a road course. And now it's time to celebrate. For Daniel Mosteller, it looks like the motor blows before his celebration plans were done. Well, nevertheless, it's a victory, and much like Daytona, this one won outright. The number 87 of Daniel Mosteller with 36 laps led proves to be dominant once more. Let's get a word with your race winner as we get your top 3 interviews loaded up. First and foremost, the driver who comes out victorious again, Daniel Mosteller, second win on the season already, and a fantastic start with another victory at what many describe as our first skill-based circuit, and Watkins Glen, a road course. Already, SuperSpeedway, a road course, locked up on your campaign. A great start, and this one, dominant.
Yeah, that was a great race by me. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I just put on a pretty good race there. I felt like I was one of the fastest of the race, so just did my own thing. Yeah, the restarts, they were a challenge there. I was a bit worried with how we kept wrecking on the restarts because I wasn't good on the restarts. And sorry, on the second or on our first actual restart of the race, I got passed, and yeah, I had to kind of play catch up there, passing Schaefer. But once I got by him, I was able just to cruise until we got the yellow at the end. But by then, I knew what I did wrong, and I was able to recover and get the win.
An immediate recovery with only one restart, perhaps faltering. 36 of 45 laps led tonight. Let's talk first and foremost about those opening 40 laps. And it all kicked off for you from the pole position. You had the track position from the start, and you, of course, did a great job in maintaining it. How important was that pole position for you in your quest for victory?
Sorry, you cut out there. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, 36 out of 45 laps led. First and foremost for you, it came down to having track position. How important was the pole position for you when it came to winning?
Yeah, I was able to, as you said, get track position right off the start, and that was crucial. And I was able just to run my own pace, and ultimately, that number 1 pit stall, I think that definitely played into my success. A short run off the pit road, not at full speed, so that was good for me. And yeah, just nailing the last restarts was critical. I was under a decent amount of pressure because River snowed to be aggressive, so I had to be ready and on my I just had to be ready for any type of move, and thankfully everything worked out and I was able to get the win.
And everything works out just fine. A few of those restarts you mentioned, you said you didn't feel you were too confident with them, but it seems like that last restart gave you everything you needed. Were you worried at all about Thurston and company coming back to you after that?
Yeah, he had a monster bus stop on the last lap. And I knew he was faster than me because on that first run he was able to keep pace with me, and he got side by side with me for a bit. So I knew he had a bit more single lap speed than me, so I was a bit worried. But yeah, I was able just to hit 2 pretty good laps there and hold off the charge for him.
And holding off in the right moments and winning, of course, racing. Winning through for a second time this season, already off to a hot start, Mosteller. And with that being said, race 4, that's what's up next on the campaign. Now coming into a little bit of a different stretch of the season. We're getting away from the high bank circuits and instead moving forth to the ones that are smaller. Bristol, Kansas is coming up next 2 races. And before we head down to Tennessee, any final shout-outs or messages you'd like to give?
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting, Mason, for off-tracking. Fun racing with everybody again. Feel pretty good getting 2 wins on the season pretty early, so that's a good momentum boost. We'll be back next week. Hopefully get the win there.
Daniel Mosteller, 2-time winner in Season 6, collecting a dominant victory in the Upstate Grand Prix. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
And with Mosteller on the move, let's go on to your next driver tonight, Jim Thurston, who came through. We've seen multiple times in this series, in IORA as a whole. Thurston is one of the strongest road course drivers. Maybe things didn't come to him immediately, but started second and finished there as well. But there's a lot more to the story today than that qualifying number and the race finish number. Thurston, when it comes to the top 5, you were all over the place. What was it like in the Glen?
I think we passed the most cars, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. we had a more eventful race than I was hoping it would be. I was pretty quick in that first run. I couldn't quite get past Bose like I needed to, just to get that first place advantage. But I mean, eventually we got some yellows. The first one kind of worked out for us a little bit, and then I accidentally turned chase, and that sucked. I did not mean to do that. I was just trying to avoid getting a slowdown penalty, and I mean, he was beside me before I could even hear I was that there was a car next to me, and I just turned down way too quick and wrecked him. Just totally on me. I should have been paying more attention there, but yeah, we then got sent to the end of the line and restarted in, I believe, P16 or so, and ended up finishing the race in second, just like 10 laps later. So I don't think that you can really ask for a whole lot more. You could obviously ask for that first place finish, which we were honestly really close to getting. I had a very, very quick last 2 laps. We just didn't get the restart we really needed. We got a really good restart. We got to second, but I just lost too much time in that process to really get to Most there at the end. He just kind of owned the race, and we brought it home second.
Well, we of course saw how Daniel Mosteller did tonight. First and foremost, you came through with a few teammates around you, a Power Smash, Infinity Speed Motorsport, River Page up inside the top 5 as well. Did the team game at all impact the way you took, notably those last few restarts?
Not really, because I wasn't really near them. But then the final one, River, we tried working together as much as we could. He just couldn't get the restart he needed, and he locked up the rear tires going into turn one just from burning him up on all the prior restarts. He's on the front row trying to get a good restart. He's going to be in first gear, and he's going to be smoking the tires every time. And I think that really hurt him. And I think that also might have played a little bit into why I was catching Most there at the end, because I was in second, honestly getting really slow restarts the entire time there, just to not pass cars because it's a penalty. So I wasn't burning my stuff up in the restart zone like they were. But yeah, eventually they spun out, hit doors, whatever, and I got second and threw together a very quick final lap. But I think we might have still missed out on that fastest lap of the race.
Nevertheless, some major points turned out and a very good result to come with Bristol Motor Speedway up next. So we're going from big circuits, fast circuits, to a smaller and maybe a little bit slower one at that. What do you think about Bristol coming up on the schedule after these first 3?
I'm very excited for Bristol. That track is so much fun with these cars now. Um, Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can run it in a, if I can, and I'm gonna be there, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's like slipping and sliding now, so I can't wait.
Jim Thurston, second place here from the virtual Watkins Glen, started and ended there and was as low as 16th, climbing through the field along the way. If you have any last messages you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Just thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, we just gotta make less mistakes. I think that we're making less of the ones that I was making last season, and more of just dumber ones that I don't know. They're just different mistakes. I just have to stop making any of them, but that's almost impossible. Just glad to finish really good again. I believe we should be second in the points easily. So just glad to have that. And like I said last week, if we just keep finishing strong, we're gonna win the races eventually.
And getting stronger and stronger to kick off the campaign. Thurston, second place and oh so close to a victory. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
One final driver, a first as a matter of fact, in the podium, who does not appear to be with us right now. Hector Collazo, third place, and we'll see whether or not we can confirm Hector for an interview here. And if he's available, we will get a word from the number 41, who finished in third. Started 7th today, so had to make some gains, but nevertheless, Hector Collazo coming back to the IORA Cup Series in a big way, and doing so with a massive success. 41 in third in its first start this season. Low of 9th and started in 7th, so all over the top 10 of the field. Hector right now waiting to see if he is available for comment. If not, well, we'll wrap it up, and looks like he will be. Now, standing by, the number 41 of Hector Collazo with us here. Third place in a first podium in his IORA career. Here from Watkins Glen, top 3, and it looks like at long last able to make it up from 7th on the grid, and in the final 2 laps, moving up to the podium. Hector, how do you feel?
I feel good. A lot of stress from Aiden Walker and Chase Schaffer. I apologize to those if they think I was being aggressive, but it's it's Watkins Glen, final couple laps. You got to make some moves, and I'm not gonna stick behind them and let them pull away. So I'm at least make a move. So yeah, happy with the top 3. Wasn't the best way to get it, but unfortunately, it's the way to go at this track.
And we first and foremost have to talk about the way you got up to the podium there. The battle between you and Aiden Walker at last. That's what decided the last podium place. And it got pretty aggressive in those final laps. Could you walk us through how it was for you inside the cockpit?
Yeah, coming off the S's, I think I had like a tiny run coming into the bus stop. So I just said, you know what, screw it. Let's make a move. Daniel Ricciardo type style, sent it. I made it work coming into the bus stop, and then I've tapped his right rear quarter panel a little bit, which got him a little tiny bit loose, but we kept it fair and clean until the X's where it all went down, and he kind of pushed me off. I know he's gonna think of something else, but I think he kind of just pushed me off, and yeah, just turned him into a spinner, and yeah, well, it wasn't the best move, but it was just what I had to do because I was gonna sit behind him.
And it's been a long while since you've competed in an IORA competition, more than 2 years as a matter of fact. Coming back, some similar drivers, maybe some you don't know. What's it like returning to IORA now after such a long time away?
Yeah, the league has really developed into something, big, and some really good and talented drivers in this league. So it's nice to see that it's came a long way, and just glad to race with these guys. They're really, really quick. So yeah, just give out kudos to them.
That being said, Hector Collazo, first start of the season and a podium at that. Before we move on to our next race, the Bristol Motor Speedway, if you have any final comments, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I just want to thank my spotter, Zachary Trevino, giving me some good motivation. Kind of screwed up my fuel, but we still made it work. So yeah, and thank you to the tires for not giving up on me on that final 2 restarts.
There we go. Hector Collazo, P3 in a first start in Season 6. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
And with Collazo on the move, you've gotten a word from your top 3 drivers here for the Upstate Grand Prix. Watkins Glen comes back, and the new face in Hector Collazo finishes in 3rd. Jim Thurston makes his way from 2nd to 2nd, and your pole sitter, he wins for the 2nd time this season. It's Daniel Mosteller once again at the top of the board, and he finds himself as a race winner for the 2nd time in 3 races. Shades of Sean Conklin, perhaps, and it looks like Mosteller's championship winning ways might be back in full effect. But before we say that, we've got a tricky stretch of the schedule coming up. Say that 10 times quick. Bristol Motor Speedway, Kansas, Tornado Alley is going to be coming up in 2 weeks, but first we've got to get past the last great Coliseum. Same time, same place as always on FTN. And if you'd like to learn more about the IORA Cup Series on Thursday nights, scan the QR code on your screen and you can join the official FTN Broadcasting Discord server with all our information about how you can become a driver and a member of the FTN community. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing all of tonight's event. It's race number 3 in the IORA Cup Series 6th season as we move on to the virtual Watkins Glen International for our 2nd trip this year, the Upstate Grand Prix. And we thank you for stopping by and tuning in here from Schuyler County, New York. We hope to see you for our next broadcast at 9:30 Eastern, which is going to be the Highline Racing League at Chicagoland, and we'd love to have you there. Thank you all for stopping by and tuning in on FTN Broadcasting. We hope you have a fantastic night.